Hey guys, welcome back to some more Overhit. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the SR units that I think are the most vital ones to build early. They're the sort of units you really do want to build early on in your gameplay. I did do a video before the global launch of my top 5. This one is just more updated on that. We had new units drop. We've learned more about the game. We've progressed further. So I just wanted to make this and get it updated for beginners to actually know what to build. I did actually record this full video, and I included a second section of sort of more niche type SR units, but the video turned out to be 30 minutes. So in this one, we're just going to talk about the main ones. And then in tomorrow's video, I'm going to upload and talk about the more niche SR units. So, you know, if you're watching this in the future, I will link to that video in the description. But the 30-minute video just looked way too long, and I know you guys would all get bored of me by then. So we're going to do this one with the main units, like the big no-brainers that you definitely want to build. And then, yeah, tomorrow's video, we'll move into different sort of niche units. We'll talk about armor breakers, AoE attack breakers, and then just damage dealers in general, because the tanks and healers are basically covered in this one for SR units. So without any more, we'll jump into the clip, and then, like I said, I'll have another one up for you guys tomorrow. Cheers. The first unit we're going to cover is Caesarea. You get him given to you early. He is the unit that you really do want to invest in early. I do recommend, in my opinion, I feel like he's a great option to be your first S grade. He's your tank. He wants to mitigate damage. Now, early on, you may think that he seems really weak. He's dying really quick. Investing abilities, skill ups, obviously raising his his level cap, getting him to that +5, really all very important. And also max skilling, especially his first skill. For me, I have not max skilled his second skill because I don't use it that much in raids, but we'll jump into it. So his leader skill, we'll try and be quick through all these ones because they have been done to death, but I just want to cover them in this video for newcomers. So the leader skill, once he's maxed out, decreases damage taken to allies. Really nice. It's really actually handy in some campaign modes and stuff like that when you just really need to survive. So really nice. First skill, it's a defense buff for your whole team and a heal for 2 allies. It's absolutely amazing. It's a massive heal. Mine is being at max skill and full abilities. It fully heals basically anyone. It might do about 90% to some characters, but right now it's healing for a lot. So it's really good. Second skill, still really nice, but you just don't use it as often. It deals damage to 1 enemy and then deals damage to 3 enemies after that, so the extra 2 enemies don't get as much damage, and puts damage reflect on himself. Really nice. He's sitting there in the front line. He's going to be taking a lot of hits, so he's going to be reflecting a lot of damage. Just a really nice kit. If you do use that one, I didn't skill it up because I find in raids, I never put it into my rotation, and raids are what I'm really worried about. If I was focusing more on campaign and stuff, you could skill it up, but for me, at the moment, I just have different priorities, so we ignore that. As for his bonus skill for having the weapon, when it's 50% or lower, he gains effect resistance rate up. These things, these grimoires, I suck at saying that, are something that's really endgame. Like, don't stress too much about these. There's a few units that the grimoire will really affect in this list, but for the most part, you can't really farm them easy early game, so don't stress about it. If you get them, lucky. If not, wait for endgame. But yeah, that one's not too important. Basically, all you want to do is stack as much mitigation, defense, HP, flat damage reduction. As you can see, I've got this fixed damage reduction at a yellow level on this one, so it's 15%. Really, really nice. So that's the sort of thing I aim for, but early game gear isn't too easy to come by, so just put whatever you have on him. Really work on him first. The next one I have on my list, he's pretty much the only real tank that I look at. The other couple don't look too good. I might cover one of them in a later video who I think could have a niche use, but I haven't looked into him enough. So moving on to support units. The first one we'll go into is Necroroid. And this unit is amazing. However, I just haven't been able to pull the dupes for it. So mine's stuck at +3, so I haven't really invested in it yet. I was using it a lot early on in this progression, but then it just sort of got outclassed by everything I had because of the lack of dupes. And we'll jump into it. The leader skill, status effect resistance, not too great. The first skill, this is a skill, if you are using this as one of your main healers, you will really want to max out. Heals allies, 3 of them, and then also casts a shield on 3 of them as well, which is really nice. Not only are you getting the heal to top them off, you're also putting that shield on them to mitigate some damage. Really good skill, 60-second cooldown, pretty decent cooldown, so nothing wrong with that. Like I said, definitely one you want to look into maxing out if you're using her as one of your main healers. The 3 targets is really nice, and like I said, the shield is really awesome. Second skill, really nice in niche situations where you need to remove buffs. It's a strip for 2 enemies. Does do damage. You can max this out and will do some decent damage, but I'd work on getting damage into your other damage dealers first, and also maybe putting it into other skills on other units. It's like not the most important thing. It is nice if you need some extra damage, but she's not really there for damage. As we look into the Grimoire, when hit, puts barrier. This one's really nice. So when she's hit, she just puts a barrier on, mitigating more damage. Really, really nice. Really increases the effectiveness of this unit. But once again, don't stress too much about it. And that is pretty much her. Like I said, the only thing is, if you're using it as the main healer, really max out those abilities, max out that first skill, and you're pretty good to go. The next support that I want to talk about is the support unit that I've used through my whole progression, and I absolutely love this guy. 1, he looks like a beast. 2, I've swapped a piece of gear off of him for some reason, which I really need to put back on him. I think it was this one. And yeah, he's just really, really nice. He's one of those units where if you get the Grimoire for him, it really improves him. But we'll go through his kit. So, max HP of fire allies. If you go into a fire mono team, maybe, but don't really worry about that leader skill. First skill is amazing. 3 heals 3 allies and puts attack buff on them. So I was confused a little bit at the start of the game why my highest attack units weren't getting the attack buff. It does put the attack buff onto the allies that do get damaged. So for me in raids, sometimes I put my damage dealer on the middle row so that it can take more damage and receive this attack buff. But in higher raids, it sort of becomes that my damage dealer gets killed. So you can play around with your lineup to try and put the attack buff on the right characters here. But it's a heal, it's an attack buff. The heal is huge with where my stats are at, and I've got that heal maxed out. So it is really nice. The other thing about him is his second skill, also really, really nice. It's a single target nuke. The multiplier gets pretty high once you max it out. Mine's only at level 3 because it's not as important. But it also decreases the damage of the enemy, and mine is at level 3 and it's doing it by 32.6%. So it's a really nice kit. You can mitigate damage with him. You can put more damage out on your team with the attack buff, and you're also getting a heal. Absolutely amazing. And like I said, this guy's Grimoire makes him absolutely amazing if you can get it. It's one of the ones that I do really want. It gives him just a passive defense break with any of his skills. So with his auto attacks or his second skill, obviously his first skill won't do it because it's not attacking anyone. But yeah, his auto attacks or his second skill will cause defense break on the enemy, and that just makes him a real solid unit all around. He's giving you attack buff, giving you defense break, and giving you damage mitigation against the enemy, plus healing as well on 3 units. Really, really good kit. Like I said, you can build him and Necroid. I was going to build both. I couldn't do Necroid. I found just progression with just him and some SSR healers at +1 was good enough, and I really did enjoy him. I even managed to use him in the 8-10 hard mode where it was a water boss. Just put him in the back row. He survives fine. Puts that damage mitigation out, and it's really nice. So he's another no-brainer for me. Really, really good unit. Moving on is still in the healers, but moving into damage section, and that is Proxy. Now, Proxy is an absolute amazing unit for progression. Arena as well, absolutely fantastic. The leader skill, if you have 3 dark units in your team, it gives all your allies 25% attack. Really, really nice. But Teze is a thing in the SSR ranks where the leader skill of her just sort of outranks this because you get crit rate as well and you get 35% attack. So you're not normally using his leader skill. I'm thinking sometimes if you're doing double Caesarea teams where you're using a friend Caesarea, you can use him and 2 Caesareas, and maybe you want to use this leader skill to get more attack. Heals are based on attack, so you're getting more healing as well, more damage. It's an option out there. Moving on to skill 1, it's a 4 target damage ability and puts healing debuff on the enemies. Really nice. Healing's really big in Arena, so being able to put reduced healing on enemies, make them not heal as much, is really nice. And then moving on to his bread and butter, which is his second skill, deals its AoE damage, hits 3 enemies, and heals 2 allies. And because you're normally stacking attack on him, it heals a lot, this one, for the 2 allies that it does heal, and does really decent damage. As you can see, mine isn't even max skilled. I just put all my skills into Caesarea, so I'm saving up to build up my Proxy more. But he's an absolute beast. Definitely one of those units that if you pull him, you want to invest in. He's so good for progression. Not amazing in raids, but everything else in the game, he is amazing. Moving on to the next unit. The next unit is going to be like a cross between two units, and that is going to be Young Glek and Dominique. So we'll go through Young Glek first, and these are going to be your two main damage dealers for the Fafnir raid. For me, Young Glek shines out just because of the reason that leader skills count as buffs, and that'll make sense when we look at his second skill, which is his massive damage skill, which I do have maxed. I've got everything maxed on this guy. Maybe we should do a playtest with him at maxed everything, and just show you what he's capable of, because he's an absolute beast. But this skill does a massive nuke on a single target, deals extra damage if he has crit rate up. Now, because leader skills that have crit rate up make it count, it means you can just have a leader skill of crit rate, go straight into the battle and nuke someone with this, and it's absolutely huge. The fact that leader skills do that makes me just like this guy a bit more than Dominique, but Dominique is still decent, which we'll talk about in a second. The other thing with Young Glek is his first skill does grant himself that crit buff, which is really nice too. So if you don't have a crit leader, you can still buff your crit and then do massive damage. The thing is, when you go up higher in raids, in the Fafnir raid, the Dark raid, you do not have as much room to put in nuking, like attacking abilities. You're really focusing more on your sustain. So like I'm doing raid 9 at the moment, I've just stepped into, and you really don't have time to buff crit and then use his second skill in that 60 seconds. Like I've done it once and it's really close on whether my team survives. So being able to have a crit rate leader with this guy is really nice. But the other great thing about him is that because this second skill just requires crit rate up, you can actually use him against a lot of things, just because you can get massive damage even if he doesn't have elemental advantage, because you just need that crit buff and then he's going to do huge damage. So really, really solid. He's my favorite single target nuker in the game at the moment, and he's not going to help you so much with the story mode. He's more a raid specialist, and at the moment in arena he's really good too, because everyone has Caesarea tanks in arena. So definitely my favorite. Then we'll check out the Dominique, who basically, if you'll sort of build whichever one you get more dupes of between Young Glek and Dominique. Like I said, I prefer Glek. Dominique's still really, really nice. She has attack and defense for light allies. Not too bad if you're using a lot of light, but not the best. Her first skill attacks a single enemy and removes a buff. Really nice if you do need the buff removal, maybe future content, if there's something that you really need, like a dark unit that you really need to remove the buff, she might be the main option. But yeah, it's nothing amazing unless you do need to remove that buff. Second skill, this is why she's really good. Single target nuke deals extra damage to dark enemies. Like I said, the Fafnir raid, which is the dark boss, she can just go in, smack this. You don't have to have that crit leader. A lot of sort of the Teze is the main crit leader that people are using, and if you don't have her, you can always try Dominique. Dominique just hits like a truck no matter what. You don't need that crit leader skill. You don't need a crit buff. She can just hit dark enemies really, really hard. Same goes in arena. She can just walk in, one shot of Caesarea and job done. The only thing is, you do really require the enemies to be dark to be doing massive damage. Whereas, like I said, with the Young Glek, he can just do massive damage anyway. And jumping on to the last unit, and that is going to be another AoE damage dealer who I've only pulled one of, so I haven't been able to build, but his multipliers are just ridiculous compared to other to other AoE units. If you look at this one being a base 212, most 3-target attacks are below 200 for their base multiplier at level 1, so it's really nice. Plus it has a chance to put poison on, which does more damage. This guy's just an AoE king. He doesn't have any healing. All he does have as a bonus is his poison, but still a really, really nice kit. So, like I said, 3-target nuke with a massive multiplier can poison enemies, just doing more damage. There's a lot of chain skills that proc off of poison, so really, really nice. And then we'll go on to his second skill, which is a lower multiplier. It attacks 4 enemies. It's not as strong. It's definitely the one you'd want to be using second. That first skill is really his bread and butter, but still really nice to have dual AoEs. And like I said, that first skill having a massive multiplier really does help him out. If you do pull a lot of copies of him early, definitely great for progression, where you don't need as much healing early on. You can just spam this sort of thing and get through it. Also great for AoE comps in Arena. Absolutely amazing unit. So that is going to be the Dark Hell, and that is going to cover those first 7 units that are sort of like the bread and butter, really good units. Don't be disappointed if you pull dupes of them, because they're amazing and you're not wasting resources investing into them. So that's going to be it for those first units that I really do recommend as those top units. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any other units that you think are in those top ones, let me know. Like I said, tomorrow I will be uploading the video talking about those more niche units, and we will cover a lot more SRs in that, but they're just the more specific units that you're going to be building later on for specific purposes. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.